in those regards, but
I
the idea is it making it, making it about what it needs to be is a more important conversation than, holding forth on what some other entities doing that isn't necessarily useful.
No, what I was saying is something different, because they put the problem in a correct way, and they showed that their study is has not started yet. So essentially, what you would need on the moon is, of course, an electrical distribution system with sources, with users, and with the distribution grid, an electric grid.
Oh, absolutely.
And they indicated that they need it without showing that they haven't started to study it yet. And basically, the requirements for the users are exactly taken from the requirements of the ISS. And someone asked the question about that. And essentially, NASA, for instance, the voltage levels, direct versus alternate current, the requirements were just copied from the ISS. But of course, since the level of power required on the moon is much different, those specifications are not adequate at all, completely inadequate. You should have a specification more like the ones we have on the Earth about the electrical systems that we have to put on the moon, not just to make a moon base, initial moon base, but if we want to have a structure on the moon for doing things like prospecting, mining, and so on, we need a true power grid on the moon. And we have to start from scratch.
I think in general we have maybe two main sources of electric energy on the moon and also in space. And the first is solar energy, and the other one is nuclear energy. And if you think that on the moon there are nearly 2 weeks night is on the moon, so we have to also use nuclear energy on the moon.
Yes, this was discussed very much in the ISC. And there were proposals have been shown of nuclear generators to be placed on the moon.
Okay.
There's a lot of research on this topic.
Sorry. Go ahead.
There's lots of papers, lots of research, lots of opinions, lots of ideas. Do you think we can consolidate these and form a path forward with our expertise? And if so, where's this going as far as like peer review and?
Well, I see, just let me say something, refer to my initial statement that unfortunately were not recorded because I forgot to start the recording. Now it is recording. However, we were talking about putting seeds for our papers of 2025 and for the IAC in Sydney and other conferences. And I see a possible title here rising up from this initial discussion. That could be the electrical foundation for a moon village or something like that. No? Possible title, a paper that we could maybe start to write an abstract and see if we like it to go ahead on, or maybe a more general paper about space energy. For what? For the moon, for habitats, for industrial plants, initial industrial plants, orbital plants, Lagrange plants, and things like that. The foundation, the electrical foundation for that.
Yes, but the basics of electrical systems is that you need to know before. The first thing is to know the requirements. So yeah, what are the users? What is?
Of course. And
then you can design
the requirements.
Talking about requirements, we are thinking about civilian requirements, not astronautic.
Yes, and this means that we need starting point. So the starting point is to study this kind of settlement activity and so on, and then we will define what are the energy requirements. And this it cannot be done in the reverse.
Of course, yes. Yeah, okay.
Anyway, I was talking about
Very
this.
nice.
I, I consider this thing too, but maybe next year we can start something about maybe a committee on energy is needed. Could be started. I cannot start it now.
Yes, I know, Alberto. So we can think about maybe December, January, or something like that. But it's important that we put the initial statements here, and then we can go ahead. So we are seeing something shared by
You're
Gary.
seeing something. Imagine that. One of the papers that was presented, that I presented at IAC this year, is on something called Space Squared, which really is an effort to establish a framework for a microgrid controller of an end-to-end, power generation, storage, and distribution system. And one of the interesting aspects of this is that we've been tilting at it from the standpoint of the fact that for conventional cabled, power loads, you take the power quality spec that your load has, the quality of service requirements, the technology that you're going to use, the transmission distance, the operating environment, and the control requirements, and you go to an amperage wire gauge and environmental derating table, tells you what material to make the cable out of, what its gauge is, how long it can be, how you have to derate it for the environment. Hell, it even tells you what size breaker to put on the damn thing. Okay. When it comes to power beaming, you don't have that option. You don't have that table. What you need, both to understand what the functional capability is and to control it, you effectively need a near real-time state model of the beaming system. And that's what we're happen to be tilting at here. And where this ends up coming together is that when you start looking at it from the standpoint of a block diagram level, where you have a defined set of physical interfaces between the elements of the block diagram, where each one of those physical interfaces represents some combination of flows of energy, flows of data, and flows of matter. You end up with a situation where you can go and done appropriately, this becomes not just an iterative problem, but a recursive one, where you can take that table and do the dive in and say, okay, what's the first principles physics view of what has to be occurring here? And then the next level down is, what's the systems engineering of how it is that you make that work? The idea here is that you can take the problem of an end-to-end integrated microgrid controller and break it in to the pieces necessary to support both the piecewise and the end-to-end, not just the analysis of how to provide the functional capability, but actually provide the controller on a shared control basis between humans, robots, and advanced autonomy. Point of showing this is that there is indeed some interesting work that has been being done and is being done that has some intersection between SRI, the Space Development Foundation, and XISP Inc. And we're currently we jointly did a proposal on this with the Space Force, and along with NASA and multiple other participants. And the decision was made to rearrange and recast that opportunity into something that could allow this work to go forward with a significant amount of support. And that's what I get to spend the next month doing. And of course, my paper's available from it was a D3-2A session from IAC. I'll drop the link for it in the chat.
Okay, great.
Quite interesting. Yeah. So I want just to answer one question made by Walter on behalf of Alberto, that maybe is not happy to talk about himself. However, Alberto is a graduated engineer in electronic and
No, not electronic. Okay.
sorry, electrotechnical. Right. Sorry. Forgive me. And he is working since several decades in the electrical engineering domain. Firstly, he was in the electrical plant company belonging to Fiat, the old automotive Italian company. Then that department was sold to another entity, and now I think it is called Technimont, right?
Yes.
Where he is a director. He is the director of the engineering plants department or something like that. Okay, this
No,
you
no, no.
know it better than me, and so you can say it. So I believe his experience in the field of energy is huge, and definitely qualifies him to chair the triple E new committee. Okay.
Yes, but I have not accepted yet anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course, it's still pending the proposal. However, I'm also sure that here we have very good skills and experiences that can help him, or anyway to put ahead the concept and the development. And of course, I have to add that we always see in all of our committees, including the technical and scientific ones, we always see the things from the point of view of our humanist philosophy. So we always put user requirements first, and all the user from the stakeholders to the final users of any system or project or whatever we want to talk about, and even the intermediate users that are the operators of any system that we are talking about. So and specifically when we talk about systems and plants working in space, we are thinking about civilian settlements. So we are thinking about civilian users, also scientific researchers that can be among the users of any system conceived for space, and also why not also astronauts, because there's nothing against making the poor astronauts to be a little bit more comfortable in space than versus how they have been so far. So because we think that thinking about the change of paradigm from exploration to settlement, there is a complete change of the requirements. Complete, and I also have written a paper on that, presented maybe in Paris IAC two years ago, and we already have a literature on this point that we can use as input, design inputs and so on. Marie-Luise?
I think last not least, we should not forget about nuclear fusion in the future, because we have a lot of helium-3 on the moon, and maybe in some decades, we could use this helium-3 for nuclear fusion, not only in space, but also on Earth, to, let me say, mitigate the manifold energy crisis on Earth.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
But also another aspect to think about is modularity. So are we going to have one small package of energy plant that can be duplicated in multiple modules, or try to have a much larger one, like, you know, gigawatt range plant? There's pros and cons. The smaller modules could be, you could send them to outlying areas to produce energy in another part of the moon, the lunar surface. A larger one would be less, it may be more efficient, but it might be harder to split that up and service multiple sections of the moon, of the lunar surface.
Yes, now they are also talking about small reactors for the fission, for the traditional nuclear fission. They call it nuclear 4.0, I think, and then they are talking about the small reactors that are portable and reproducible and so on. But Marie-Louise was asking for the floor since some.
Okay. I want to say something in these general terms, which Adriano was spoken about. Okay. I hate it. Sorry. Okay. I think that this topic, energy, has also to be connected to the general progress theories. For example, the theories of self-organization, the physical self-organization theories, because in this physical self-organization theories, you have the you research the ability of nature and economics and social systems and so on of going from a lower energy level to a higher energy level. And I think this is a general natural philosophy of history, which underlines the history of economics and evolution and so on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we also have Kraft Erike, vast literature on that point that we can use as a reference, of course.
Yes.
Erike talked very much about nuclear energy on the moon, necessary to feed what he called the Selenopolis, the first city.
Yes, but okay, we are discussing here technical issues, but if we also want to discuss more general issues, then we have to embed this in a more general theory. And I think one of a possible theory is the theory of self-organization, physical self-organization, because this theory is a theory of the history of nature in combination with economics and social systems. It's a more general approach. It is not the approach of system theory, like in the 17th, 18th, but it is a more dynamic a theory which includes also instabilities and non-equilibrium phase transitions and so on. And perhaps this is could be yes a more general approach to this whole technical stuff.
If you could give us some references that we can learn more about what you are talking. Are there some papers or text that we can read?
Yes, there are a lot of texts. I had worked in a research group at the University of Stuttgart, which had the title Natural Constructions. And in this research group, in which were a lot of institutes, we had this discussions from the side of mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and so on, and philosophy. And there were a lot of papers.
Okay.
A lot of books.
I will be very happy if you can make maybe a summary, a reference for us to just understand better what you are proposing. I think it's, of course, is a necessary angle of view on the problem of energy and the construction of the needed platform for self-organization, because it's part of the self-organization strategy is to provide energy source and means to produce energy. Of course, is because philosophical concept give birth to practical, concrete, scientific, and technological things. Yeah,
it's a system theory approach, but this system theory approach is underlined with an energy concept, and this energy concept means this. You can see also by Buckminster Fuller that with the energy flows, you have reproduction systems, but if the energy amounts are becoming greater, bigger, then you come to instability points, and this allows the system to go ahead and to have
evolution.
Energy. A greater energy density. Okay.
Yeah, this is also on the base of the Kardashev scale that talks about a society, a civilization level 1, level 2, level 3, where level 1 is working with the energy of the planet. Level 2 is working with the energy of its solar system, and level 3 is working with the energy of a galaxy. So it, of course,
it's a bit.
The use of energy is a measurement mean to classify the level of a civilization according to Kardashev.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is more general. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So, well, I think we identified maybe one paper that we could start to think about an abstract, and then to present at IAC 2025. And so this is one thing we can do. So other ideas for next year, other papers from the point of view of our committee, that is transport, mining, and industry.
But did you, Adriano, did you specify what session you think the paper would fit in IAC 2025?
No.
We don't have a session
I think IAF didn't even published a view, a prospect of the session.
They haven't. Adriano, the call for papers has not been released yet. I'm currently editing a version of it.
In fact, so it's very early now to think about the different sessions.
But figuring out what it is that we would like to do Okay, there's an alignment opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, we will find proper sessions where to put our abstracts. And so what we have done so far, what we have done this year was a paper made by Werner about the role of mining the moon and asteroids in the in a strategy of space settlement, something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Yes, it is called industrializing the Earth-Moon system, the role of space mining and material processing for human civilization on Earth and in space.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, we could try to implement those ideas in I think for next year we have some meetings in Vienna at Coburg. As we heard some hours before, and I think we could also implement this as well as the item of the so-called energy problem. We could implement this in our proposals for next year in the year 25 to
yeah. So yeah.
For example.
Yeah. So just let's take note of what I've said so far. Is one paper could be what I call, then we can find a better title, the electrical foundation of space settlement. This is general. We can better specify it for the moon and for Lagrange points and habitats and okay. So space settlement, moon, orbital, and Lagrange points. It's just a working idea, not the definitive. So this is one. Then we could go ahead from your paper, Werner, developing more the concept of an industrial plants in a Lagrange point that we
can specify all this. Of course, I can go on in developing maybe a new paper about all these things, and maybe I could present this maybe also in Vienna in a side event, the Coburg, which is my idea.
Yes, also.
Also possible.
But however, let's remember that IAF wants inedit papers. So if we think something for IAF, it cannot be presented before in other conferences.
Okay, then we will present it to the next IAF conference.
Yeah.
In Sydney.
Well, but I was just reminding this thing that it's not possible to several things. Okay, then.
Adriano, one of the things that you need to understand about that is that what the IAC is looking for are papers that no one is going to go through and give them a hard time about publishing through their various and a sundrious media outlets. Okay, so from that standpoint, they don't want an abstract being submitted that someone else has a claim to. However,
Yeah.
you can go through and write a paper on a, on a subject at different levels. Okay, emphasizing different aspects of it and have it be perfectly reasonable. I frequently will go through in a given year, write, a presentation for ISDC and a paper for potentially for one or more conferences that results in a final piece of work, for IAC, and it's not a problem.
What we also can do is to prepare a time schedule for the next steps of humankind into space, which would be interesting.
Yes.
Yes. I think for the United Nations and also for other entities.
Yes.
So the question I would have for you is that, rather than necessarily, talking in ground outlines, identify some number of things that, it would be for this aggregate of people that it would be appropriate to tilt at. Okay, and use that as the basis for developing abstracts. Going through and I would argue what's needed, is not another survey paper. If you've got a way of articulating a grander vision that is going to make sense and be more accessible, that's great. Otherwise, come up with some twist on the work at hand that helps make it more tractable, that moves things along, okay, in a substantive manner.
Yes, I think this is just very simple. But we have done something in this direction. Of course, for example, a moon base. Okay, we have already worked on a moon base and on a new space station in low Earth orbit with so-called artificial gravity, and that we have also worked on a space factory in the Lagrangian point L5. So I think these could be the next steps, which are important for mankind in the next within the next decades. So we have all these projects.
If you go through and you take it to the next level, Werner, and you think about, for example, what constitutes a sustainable settlement on the moon? Is it the fancy pictures and renderings that we've seen for the past 60 years in various forms? Or is it instead right now trying to ask the question and answer the questions of how does science drive the requirements on what constitutes sustainable settlement? How does systems engineering drive the requirements? How does sound architectural design drive those requirements? Effectively, what we're trying to go off and do is, embodying Paulo Soleri's concept of arcology, which is the understanding of the relationship between humans, the natural environment, and the built environment. We're trying to come up with a realized arcology. That's, arguably that is as much fun as pretty pictures are, or for that matter, point designs that just predominantly exist in the trade space between your ears. Instead, you go through and create an articulation of the problem space and the potential solution space that invites other people into the discussion.
Look, I will send you some of my projects of the last.
Love to read it. And what you'll find in the chat
is
there's links on the
okay. I've covered
links in the Oasis stuff the power stuff that I was alluding to. There's if you're really into heresy, there's the orchestrating symbiosis, a framework for shared control between humans, robots, and advanced autonoma. It was actually kind of funny at the gala dinner. No, actually, no, it was the welcome reception. There's a crusty old German engineer that was sitting at the same table that we were, and he asked me, what was the weirdest thing that I was working on? Okay, and I told him, with the warning, of course, that he had asked for it. Okay, and my wife was there as a witness. So I started explaining to him the fact that, the notion of shared control may be best addressed by altering the fundamental model of time that we choose to understand the problem space in. As it turns out that if you actually have to worry about what constitutes your situational awareness, what constitutes the levers of control that you have that can affect a situation, and what are the outcomes that you would like to manage coming to pass. If you actually have to address all of those in order to make a decision, it can arguably change what you do.
Well, I have designed in the year 2005 a first station on the moon. It was a modular station. You can find it on the homepage of SRI. I would like to have you see this modular design, which is not new, which is from the year 2005, and there I have sketched a first small lunar station, which can be elongated along its main axis and so on. So we have done something in the last years.
Okay, friends, can we just try to put together some possible titles? I have wrote one that is Electrical Foundation of Space Settlement, Moon Orbital Lagrange Points, and another one can be an industrial plant in a Lagrange point. And I'm also thinking about orbital debris. May we be able to write something interesting and new that can move some other people, as Gary is saying, to come in and work on about the reutilization of space of orbital debris. So we have read literature about that possibility to use the aluminum second stage of rockets that are orbiting in a low Earth orbit and medium to produce fuel, and we can use maybe other parts or the big parts to build some infrastructure, and we can maybe use some other parts, smaller debris to produce powders for 3D printing. But all of these things are just titles that we have read somewhere in some papers and presentations. But would we be able to deepen some of these things or other concepts, and to come out with ideas for possible feasible projects? Because what we think is that reusing orbital debris could be the first step of space industrialization in orbit, in Earth orbit. Not
Space debris is a big problem. It's going to get worse. Are we talking also about how to deorbit space debris, collect it, dispose of it?
Yes, yeah. Our concept, our political concept, if you like, is that instead of the orbiting and make the debris to burn in the atmosphere, re-enter in the atmosphere, that will be a waste. It would be very much better to collect the materials that can be collected. Of course, we are not talking about very small debris are very hard to collect, but medium size could be collected and put all together and parked in some orbital place dedicated to that, and then to build a workshop, an orbital workshop, and start to processing and that would be a profitable activity. So our concept, our political philosophical concept is that if we face this problem only as a problem, only as an expenditure, so we see it from let me say the moral point of view, that we have made a mess in orbit and now we have to clean it. That's true, of course, but we also know that we will really start to resolve this problem when it will become a business, when it will become a source of profit. Then the people will invest in that and will start working really on that. So I think a good thing to do, according to the Gary methodological indication, would be to indicate ways that can lead to profit in this environment of the orbital ecosystem. Let me say that remedying. Yeah, at the end, it's the same concept of waste on Earth. If you only take waste on Earth as a garbage, then it will be a cost. But if you start making using waste to generate energy, for instance, or to generate materials for building or for fertilization or other things, then it becomes a source. It becomes a source of profit, and so it will be.
There's a couple of companies already doing this that I've heard of. They're small and they're startups.
Yes, yes. So could we possible for us to have a goal of learning what these companies are doing, and try to start from that state of the art and thinking forward. May we try to do that? That is, by the way, that would be part of the scope of this committee. That is transport, mining, industry. So that would be part of the scope of this committee. But of course, it requires a research effort, no? A research effort to understand what is already around in the literature, and what we could find out new concept, or even only how to facilitate the development. That not necessary to invent any new thing, but what would be the also what could be the political ways to make it possible, to accelerate it, to move things. Yeah, this. If you think it's too hard and we don't have time to do it, let it be. But I think if we start to investigate on that, something will come out. Because my experience is that every time we really start to study something, then good concept came up from this.
I agree to study it, yes.
Yeah, okay, so we can put it in our goals. Let's try if we will not succeed. Okay. Okay, so orbital debris we're using.
Mediation.
The art and pollution. Let's say like that. Okay. I see Jerry that reached us. Maybe you thought the meeting time was 10 and not 9. No. You're mute. Okay.
It said in the email that it was at 9, but I wonder if that was meant to be. No, it did say 9 o'clock GMT. So that's when I came on.
No. It was 9. It was 9 European time. It was 8 GMT. 8 GMT because.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. However,
Change the time. This is.
Yeah, we have changed the time in last Sunday from summertime to winter time. But
Yeah.
in America, it's still summer.
I know.
There is 1 week difference between Europe and America.
Yes.
The change. However, okay. So what have we done in the previous hour, Jerry? We were discussing about 2 things. New abstracts for papers to be developed in 2025 to be presented at IAC in Sydney, and yeah, we know that the call for papers start very early, maybe in January, maybe before, and
February.
Other conferences like the ISDC in Orlando and COPOS in Vienna and so on. This was one thing. The other thing, I realized that we are missing a committee, and this committee I call the triple E, that is energy, economy, and environment. So I proposed to create the triple E committee, and I also proposed Alberto to chair this committee. And yeah, Alberto will give his answer in proper times. And yeah, the first task of this new committee will be to develop a paper that missing a better title, I call the Electrical Foundation of Space Settlement, Moon, Orbital, and Lagrange Points. And yeah, this could be also an abstract to be submitted to IAC for Sydney and so on. And so this is what we have discussed just before. Then we had a discussion about the electrical TEM in space, on the moon, and so on, and about requirements for a moon base or moon village that of course our requirements are civilian requirements and not only astronaut and exploration. So yeah, we had a little bit discussion. You will see in the recorded video what was said by Gary about that, by Alberto, and by Walter and Werner also.
Okay.
And by Marie-Luise, who mentioned a philosophical general view about this kind of things, talking about the natural history and how energy thing evolved along the history and so on.
Okay. So, you know, I wrote to you to say that sadly I had to cancel my appearance at the IAC in Milan. I mean, I've been looking forward to that since March, when they accepted my abstract, but unfortunately I was in hospital and couldn't go. And I certainly won't be able to go to next year's in Sydney, even though I would love to be able to. And as for ISDC, although its name includes the word international, it has never been held outside of America. And I have said to them that if they could do one in Europe, they won't get as many Americans going, but they'll still get quite a few. And a lot of Europeans would attend that. But until that happens, I can't see myself being able to afford to travel to America and stay there for it, which is a shame.
Yeah, it was too bad that you could not come to Milan, because it was a great time for us. We were in our booth for the whole week, and we had a lot of people visiting and talking with us, and we have presented our papers, my paper on Space for Peace, and Werner paper on mining, the role of mining, moon and asteroids, and so on. And yeah, we had interesting technical sessions that Alberto has sent a summary, a report on the technical session he attended, and I have forwarded that small document to our members in the Google group of our members. I don't know if you have received it. That's an interesting reportage on some technical sessions. And
yeah, well, obviously, apart from the presentation on Island Zero, the other reason I wanted to be in Milan was because of the pretty astounding networking opportunities. But c'est la vie.
Yeah,
I can make an offer to Jerry and also to Werner, because I was invited to hold a speech in Berlin at the Archenhold Sternwarte to the topic Early History of Rotating Systems. This is also financed by the German Aerospace Society, and the session is space history. And I thought about that I could expand my presentation with some of your concepts from Werner and from you, Jerry. And I would then also say, this is from Jerry Stowe, this is from Werner Grandl in the context of Space Renaissance International, and this could then be the end of my presentation. But the center of my presentation is the early history of rotating systems and habitats by Tsiolkovsky and Nordung and also Hermann Obert and so on.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Very good idea.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
The best is if you can send me one short paper, perhaps with a picture, then I can include this in my presentation.
About how long would you want this to last?
I can, also my presentation is not a 2.5 hour, but only 45 minutes. And so I can only take 1 or 2 slides about each.
Okay. What I'm thinking of is initially, if I'll send you a summary of Island Zero, which is just 2 sheets of A4, and I'll prepare a short presentation which won't be more than 5 minutes, and it will introduce the concept.
No. The essential thing is the innovation. What is your main innovation in this context?
Yeah, well, the thing that nothing like Island Zero, I'm not aware it's being proposed by anyone else.
Okay.
And it will do 2 things. It will allow us to carry out the medical research for us to make a decision on what G-force is actually needed in a larger habitat. Because I've asked, do we actually need 1G? Can we get away with something lower than that? And Island Zero will also form an initial structure to house the workers who will actually go about building larger habitats. So that's the aim of that. Okay, I'll send something to you. Thank you for the offer.
Okay, and Werner too.
Okay.
Werner, and Werner Grandl, you also sent me something.
Yes, I will thank you. A lot of things, of course, and we may have a talk afterwards.
Only 1 or 2 slides with the essential.
Yes.
With essential topics. Okay, thank you.
Good. So, dear friends, it was intended to be 1 hour. It is already 1 hour and 20 minutes. So if we don't have other things to discuss, I believe we can close. Anything more to say? Okay. In the same time, any idea that could come up to you about possible titles of papers that we can put in our agenda, please send it to the committee Google group so we can evaluate and then decide what to put in our agenda. So our next, let me see what is the date of our next meeting. The calendar is coming. Yeah, committees. Okay, so today is our November meeting. Yeah, 29/10. Okay, we don't have other meetings in 2024, and I still have to make a calendar for the first semester of 2025. So we don't know yet when will be our next meeting, but I think we can make it in January. January, just to consolidate the abstracts that we have decided to of the papers that we have decided to go ahead with. Okay.
I want to remember you, Adriano, that at the Corpus meeting in Vienna, there was also a presentation of a Japanese company which for the first time was able to catch some debris, and this was the first and last time that in this meeting all were there was a great applause. I don't know the real English word. They were all very, very happy that this company was for the first time able to catch some debris, and they used the physical method of electromagnetism, but there are also other approaches. In Berlin, for example, they use the van der Waals powers from geckos, from the gecko mechanism. This is very innovative, and this was also experimented at the ISS now. So I think we are not able now to use debris, but we are now only able to catch some, to approach some debris.
Yeah. So our task would be to try to push ahead and to convince someone that it's time to also start to reuse, not only to catch.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
If we can close, I will, as soon as I will have made the new calendar, we will know about the dates of next meetings, 2025. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And see you next time. Ad Astra.
You.
Yeah.
See you.